Hey, this is Mike. It's time for another Live with Mike, Tuesday, 12 noon Eastern time. And today's topic is what metrics matter. How do you determine ROI with your digital marketing? Now, I know that if you are a marketing manager, oftentimes, you are tasked with generating reports or in saying, if you're going to do this, you must show some ROI for those types of pieces. So, one of the things, obviously, that a business wants to see is, does what you're doing online translate into new business, more business, growth of business? Now, within the digital sphere, there can be variations on how you can see that. So it can be fairly simple if you are a e-commerce business, and so you're driving traffic to a website, and you can do from a Facebook ad, and then you can do some conversion tracking on the shopping cart, and so you can see that there was a direct correlation that you ran this ad and that sold X number of products. Okay, so that's a direct correlation. Now, in other cases, some businesses aren't necessarily that neat because maybe they don't sell on their website, and it's a product or service, and so then it becomes a little bit more of a different scenario in terms of finding ROI. Okay, so of tracking that business through. So there can be multiple ways to do that. So if you sometimes even with an e-commerce, maybe you don't. Some people are going to call in. Okay, so how do you measure that? So there's a few things to do. Just on the site that we have recently, we added a unique phone number that ultimately forwards through to the normal business number, but that way that we can track whenever a call comes in from that number, we know that was only from the website. Okay, and therefore that was a web lead. Okay, so that's another way to do that. So you have to find unique ways to track ROI. So a different phone number on the website that forwards to your site can be of value there. And there's kind of related to that, Google AdWords will allow you to do that as well. So Google AdWords, if you want to run Google ads to try to drive traffic to your website, and you want to track conversions, number one, they can give you conversion tracking. If you have that on the website, they're going to buy the product on the website. If they're not, then you can also do Google AdWords will give you unique phone numbers that go through to your phone number, and so that way you can tell it went from that Google ad to our phone number call in. Now you have to have caller ID, on your side, and to know what those are called through. So Google will tell you somebody, called that number. From your side, you have to be tracking. We saw that number that was used, and somebody's going to say that was a sale. I mark it down. Now, sometimes they're not going to buy right away. They want to talk to a salesperson, so then they have to set up a meeting. So you got to have some type of tracking purposes in that regard. CRM system is great for that, to put notes in. This was a call. It came in. Caller ID was X, so we know it came from a website lead. Here's the notes on this, goes to salesman Y. Salesman Y works with them, over the course of 2 weeks and closes the deal, sells that. Okay, so you have to have the mechanisms in place that maybe started with a Google ad that got to the website that had a different phone number that was put into the CRM that was assigned to the sales rep that ultimately closed. Okay, so there's a number of steps to track that ROI. That's going to be important for you if you want to track that. Now, let's talk about other metrics that are also helpful in your ROI to tell if your digital marketing, your social media marketing is of value. So when I talk about social media marketing, we want to begin seeing a number of things. I always recommend that you can't just sell directly on social media and hope that that's going to increase your bottom line overall, because generally people on social media are not looking to make a purchase right away. They're on social media to do what they do, to peruse what's happening. You happen to catch their interest with that ad or something you posted and made them think about it. So maybe they're going to come into your store, or they are going to like your page, and so they're not ready to buy at that point in time. So you need to have some other metrics in place. So number one is social media driving traffic to your website. That can be a specific measurable analytics. So you can go, if you're using Google Analytics, you can tell, you can go into the source. How did people get to the site? And it'll tell you this many from Google. It'll break it down. This many from Facebook, this many from Twitter, this many from Instagram, this many from Pinterest, that type of piece there. So you can get a metric. And if you're, running some more ad spend or running some more, efforts on a particular social media network, then you should be able to see corresponding, and you're trying to drive them to the website, you should be able to see corresponding growth in traffic on the website. Okay. So another measurement is that I always recommend, this is part of my book, Game Plan on Social Media Lead Generation, that I've written, is that you should also always try to get them into more than one channel that you can follow up with them, so that as many of them are not ready to buy right away, you want to have another mechanism to do that. And so your email list is important. And then that comes back to your website. So we can have some great social media, we can drive some of that traffic over to the website, and we can have, but we need to have a plan there to get them on a subscriber list. So we have something inviting, something that's offering, something that there's enough trust built, and it's in front of them enough that there is a decent sign-up rate on the email. And so email list growth is another ROI metric that can be from social media, because we might run social media campaigns to try to grow our email list, because we know that it's going to take a few touches, some trust building, some question answering that we can do via email for someone to make that purchase. And so taking a look at your email list growth per month can be another metric. Now, coming back to social media in specific, then for running some specific posts, we can test by post type, a link post, a photo post, a video post, and we can see what ones had the largest reach, which ones had the most engagement, likes, reactions, shares. And that is a measurement that can tell. So we obviously want to continue to try and maximize what's happening on your social media posts, and you can evaluate those. And so, if you're running active social media marketing, then you should be seeing, fan growth, follower growth. You should be seeing higher engagement numbers than if you're not putting any intentional effort into it. And you should be seeing, if you're doing that right and trying to direct some of that traffic to your website, you should be seeing website traffic that is also growing from those pieces. So those are all metrics that are part of the life cycle of the sales process, and some things that you should be looking at. So again, for your metrics, how are you determining? You're going to have some tracking mechanisms in place if you want to determine if there's value in what you're doing. And some of you, that don't have just an e-commerce site where there's a conversion tracking. So, we know they came from that Facebook ad and they bought this product. It's not as clean as that. If they have to, call in and eventually, sign a contract for some product or service. So you need to be taking a look at some of these other measures. How is your fan growth, your follower growth, and then out of that, is the engagement rates, solid? Is you getting web traffic from the social media campaigns, and is your email list growth growing because of that? And then, are people buying from the emails? Are you using some type of tracking number for the phone calls that come in, that you can track that back to web, to email, those types of pieces? Let me just speak to to email marketing a second, and that is, again, within email marketing, you want to take a look at, some open rates, some click-throughs, and again, unique information that you have in there that that they came from the email to the specific page to make a purchase, or that they called in that way. Now, finally, the last thing I want to talk about is that you can have the best social media marketing plan in the world, but if your lead capture on your website is not good, then it's all for naught. Okay, so thinking through this here, where we've seen sites that we've seen social media marketing campaigns that we've been a part of that drive things well to the site, but then they're not wanting to put the same dollar amount of refinement and effort into the experience on the website and the process for the email sign up, the product information to get in front of them in the right way, so that your conversions, the next step, that we've got them to the site, but then they fall off. So that's a key thing to take a look at. And that there's ways that we can kind of evaluate a site, run some tests on that to see what's happening in that, and that can determine whether the site or the mechanism to grow the lead or the email lead capture on the site needs to be modified to make it work better. All right, so that's a little bit about what metrics matter and determining ROI, how you can do that. So I think we need to broaden the term ROI to some degree to take a look at it. We also need to broaden and put some effort into how we track these things. That takes some time, takes some effort, takes some work to get those things in place. Once they're in place, then you've got some things to work with, and you can watch over time to see if what you're doing over time is making difference. You should always be tweaking, always be adjusting, always be evaluating those pieces. All right, so that's what I wanted to cover with you today in this Live with Mike episode. What metrics matter? Always, think through what's your next step. What do you need to do today to take a look at? Maybe it's to take a look at the Google Analytics and see what social traffic is coming from that. Maybe it's to set up a plan to measure your email list growth, to evaluate that. Maybe it's to get a new phone number that forwards to your other phone number and use that new phone number on the website so that you can track what comes in from the phone to the phone from the web. Okay, those are some things I want you to think about. This was Mike, over and out. See you next week. Take care.